everyone, and welcome down to episode 142 of the Down South Photo Show with me, Brendan Waits, here in Arizona, USA. And this guy, Cam Blake, also in Arizona, USA. G'day, Cam.
G'day, Brent. How you going?
Very well, thank you. We are into day 7, 8 of our 10-day trip.
This is day 8. Day 8, which is a part rest day.
Yep.
As we get photos taken by number 1 ticket holder, Mel.
We have the number 1 ticket holder, Mel. If he hangs around long enough, he may find himself in an episode, but we'll see a little later on as we go through.
Yes.
We're in Page.
Yes.
Page, Arizona.
We have turned the page
Into
and
Page.
gone from Utah into Arizona, where we are having a nice little day off a bit. We've had we did something pretty special this morning, which
we will touch on
we'll
shortly.
talk on, yes. But overall, day 8, a couple of days to go. Finally get rid of Mel. He's been a pain in the ass the whole trip. But apart from that, it's been going well.
It's been absolutely phenomenal trip so far. Hopefully you tuned in and saw episode 141 where we kicked off in Zion National Park. This episode we're going to run through a few of the other locations that we went to. Talk a bit about the trip on the whole. We've got a few other things that we want to talk about this podcast as well, so stay tuned for that. Here we are by the fire.
How good's our new set?
Yeah, the production values while we're on the road are actually higher than the production values when we're at home.
We've done all right. We've had the backdrop of Zion, and now we've got the backdrop in Arizona here with this beautiful fireplace in the, what are we in? We're in the Country Inn and Suites.
Country Inn and Suites in Page, Arizona.
Yes, it's very good.
Yeah. So far, the trip's been nothing short of amazing. The locations that you and Dan scouted last year,
they're paying off a bit, aren't they?
It's bearing fruit because at every turn,
yep,
there's just jaw-dropping landscapes in this country. Now, I must admit, maybe I had preconceived ideas about this part of the world, and I wasn't so sure. You see all the photos, but of course you never get the idea until you put yourself in it.
No, I was the same. Like I researched all this before we came last year for the scouting trip, and I'm like, that looks pretty cool. That looks pretty cool. That looks like a nice spot to go. Yeah. And then you get there, like, that's really cool. That's a really cool spot to go. So
yeah. I think for me, it's the size of the place, the scale, probably the height of the mountains as well. Like I just wasn't ready for that, I'll be honest.
Yeah, well, we've been travelling it over, I think the highest we got was 9,600 feet.
9,600 feet sounds about right, yeah.
It's about as high as we got, which is like 3,000 metres.
Yeah.
Like I think one night we stayed higher than Kosciuszko.
We did, and yeah, that's right. So we were travelling through an area that was a kilometre higher than the highest mountain in our country. So
and then we're doing some short walks to go get these shots, and you feel it. Like even if you come up a couple of flights of stairs from these walks, you're like, Jesus, I'm knackered here, and you're like, why am I knackered? This is only 100 metres, and then you think, oh, I'm actually at altitude here. So but you're right, the scale of the place is huge. America just does everything bigger. Yeah. Whether or not it's the big gulp drinks or it's the mountains.
Should have bought one on the set.
Yeah. Whether or not it's the mountains, whether or not it's the highways, the cars, enthusiasm, everything's big.
Everything is very, very big in this country.
It's good. Even after last year when we did this, I went home and encouraged people like, America's got this reputation that it's a bit funny, a bit crazy, a bit out there, and it is. But it's a really lovely place. Everyone we've met's been really lovely.
Incredible.
We haven't met any idiots. Even the strangers that we're coming across at these locations. They are a big fan of Australians, and you feel perfectly safe being here.
How's the hospitality?
It's been amazing, and we've been talking about it in the car. Even when you just go to shops, people actually value their jobs because it means so much to them to have a job.
It does feel that way.
Yeah, all the service we've had, all the waiters, like Scott today at the Antelope Canyon.
He was brilliant.
They're all just great, and yes, they work for tips, but maybe that's a good thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm not sure. I mean, I think it's taken me a week to get it and to be immersed in the culture. But now we've been here for this long and being immersed in this culture, it's just been absolutely phenomenal. So if you do hear a little bit of background noise, we are in a hotel lobby. So
we're doing a video in the foyer. There's people walking through, but
that's fine. I'm sure they don't mind.
I'm sure they don't mind. But it's just been great. The hospitality's been really good, and I keep forgetting that you've only been here for a week. Yeah,
this is my first time in this country.
That's what I mean. I came here a few years ago with Lisa and one of our kids when they were younger, and I came here last year with Dan. And now, to me, it's starting to be quite familiar, but I keep forgetting that you and most of the other people in this group have never been here before, and I think it's easy to do when you've been to somewhere before and someone else hasn't been there. You can sort like I'm living my excitement. I'm getting excited. Like this morning was great.
Yep.
The drive yesterday was fantastic. So I get excitement out of that. But the most excitement I get and enjoyment is watching you guys go, wow, driving along on the two ways. You've said it a few times, like, well, this is shit, like sarcastically.
Yeah, that's right.
When we come through this massive like vista of a landscape, and so it's been really cool, and we're getting towards the end of the first trip.
Yeah, well, what I thought we might do on this pod is actually just go back. So we got you up to Zion in episode 141.
Yes. Yeah.
So I thought we'd just break down the last few days and just walk people through where we've been. And also, please, by all means, take notes. I mean, if you're thinking about coming to this part of the world, whether it be with this guy on one of his trips or even travelling on your own, take notes of what we talk about, because the locations within the national parks themselves, you've got to sort of scout these spots, which you obviously did.
Yeah.
And you've got a smorgasbord. I mean,
well, this is the thing. For example, we went from Zion, we moved on to Bryce Canyon. Now, Bryce Canyon's not a big park in the scheme of things.
At all.
It's literally one road along. Well, mainly one road along a ridge, which has probably a dozen different viewpoints. But when we came here last year, we had literally a day or two to look at it. It was minus 10 degrees under snow. And it is tricky. Like these national parks are big places. So, to find the spots that are going to work in the limited time that we have on these trips it's a bit of a challenge. But so far, everything's worked. So we went to Zion. We went across to Bryce Canyon, which is maybe 2-hour drive from Zion.
Yeah.
And we got there that first night. It was a bit, we didn't have much of a great night in light-wise.
Yeah.
But we had those cool clouds come through. We had some really big storm clouds come through.
We did.
Which made it really interesting with all the hoodoos in the foreground with these big mountains and clouds.
The geology of Bryce Canyon.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Can we talk about that for a minute? Like you're looking out over, it feels like an ancient landscape.
Yeah.
And you can understand why it's held so nearly and dearly to people in this country, because it's just jaw-dropping. You're looking, you're actually sort of rubbing your eyes and, am I seeing what I'm seeing here?
Yeah, it looks painting-like.
Incredible. And it's not just the layers this way, it's also the layers this way as well. And from a photographer's point of view, it's just endless. The amount of compositions and things you can make up is just...
It's almost like we're doing almost 6 national parks here.
Yep.
You could almost do a month in each one. And
as a photographer, comfortably. Yeah.
So big shout out to Tim, who's on our trip at Bryce Canyon. We got up that first morning. We only really had a sunset and a sunrise at Bryce Canyon. We got up in that morning to do sunrise, and it looked like it was going to be a bit of a fizzer. And there was a few of us that wanted to go for a bit of a walk down into the canyon, and there was another group that was happy just to sit on the top of the canyon doing shots. Tim was insistent that we go out and go down for a walk, and I'm like, oh, it's raining, it's cold. It got really bordering on snow.
Yeah.
And we went down into the little canyon. We did the Wall Street Canyon Loop. But we got halfway down and the light just kicked off, and we're like, okay, cool, this is great.
Yeah.
And then you guys at the top, you guys went back for a brekkie, but then came straight back out.
Yeah.
And you got some great light and locations along the top there as
well. If you do come if you go to Bryce Canyon, the walk that Cam was mentioning, if you're limited for time though, my recommendation would be the drive deep into the park.
Yeah.
Basically almost to the end. We didn't quite get to the end. I think it's about a 20-mile drive in.
I think it is, yeah.
But along the way, it's just dotted with all these incredible vistas. Like we just get out of the car, like literally out of the car, walk 5 steps, and it's this archway, or it's a shot down the canyon with
it's like a single hoodoo with this epic view behind it.
Yeah. Or you've got the the pine trees, and at the moment, of course, we happen to be here during fall colour or autumn colour. And
hasn't that been a surprise? That's even surprised me, going from location to location.
Well, this is the thing. It's not just let's go on a long ass drive to these locations.
No.
It's the journey. There's just vista after vista after vista. It's crazy.
It is crazy. So Bryce Canyon was great, and then from Bryce Canyon we moved. We had a big drive getting into Moab, which is Arches National Park in Canyonlands. But on the way there, about halfway, you go through Capitol Reef National Park. But you're exactly right. Like that's a 2-hour drive. I think it took us 3.5, 4 hours for that first section.
Yeah.
Because every 2 seconds there was these valleys of fall colour, epic views, snow mountains, just incredible layers of detail.
That drive, that first section to Capitol Reef, is that what it's called? Yeah. The amount of changes in the landscape, and as a photographer, as I say, I keep saying it's like a smorgasbord here, but it's almost like you're walking into a completely different environment every sort of, I don't know, I want to say 10 kilometres. Like it just changes.
It just changes. I know I had Monica in the car for that day, I believe, and every corner was, oh my God, look at that yellow.
Yeah.
It became a joke. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
look, there's another river of yellow. Remember that one stop we did as we came over that, there was a big lookout, which looked with the road snaking down, that was great, and we did a shot from there, and
Yes.
you could see for miles into Utah.
Yeah.
And about 5 minutes down the road, we came around this corner, there's this valley and river of just gold as far as you could see, and
Yeah.
we pulled over and everyone just got out and went, oh good, okay, some more yellow, but oh my God, how good is the yellow? So that was a bit of a surprise for us. Like, we were here a bit later last year, but I think we might have hit the sweet spot for that colour on this trip.
Definitely.
It's been really good. So then we made it to Capitol Reef. Capitol Reef had a few roadworks things going on. The main scenic drive was getting a bit of work, so we didn't spend as much time there as we probably normally would, it's only a drive-through section of the trip anyway.
Yeah.
And then from Capitol Reef, we moved our way out back into Moab, and got into Moab a bit late.
So Moab, for those of you playing along at home, it's kind of like a central town right in the smack bang in the middle of the Arches and Canyon lands. I mean, the Arches National Park, I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, we'll obviously, you know, over the journey, we've been putting photos up here and there, and we'll no doubt keep sharing a few through our Facebook page, etc. But to see that in person, it was humbling. It was so good. And you guys, I was held up a little bit in Moab, but you guys went in when the light just changed.
Yeah.
And it kicked off with that storm that came through.
We had storm clouds behind these orangey red arches, and we let the guys do a bit of a walk down from one lookout to another lookout. And it's only a kilometre.
Yeah.
And I said, look, give yourself 15, 20 minutes, take your time, just walk your way down through this little valley and we'll pick you up the other end. I went looking for them because they were like, this is incredible. There was puddle reflections, there was like storm clouds coming through, there was all these like bits of light hitting these big towers.
Yeah.
It was incredible. It was totally different to the last time we went there and we scouted. And then that rest of that day, we spent an entire day in that one national park. We came out quickly to get some supplies, went back in, and we got a sunset, which literally, again, this is another great tip as to why you don't run away from a sunset. If you don't think it's going to happen, don't move, because we were all looking at it going, it's going to happen. We didn't know where it was going to happen, but it was going to happen. We could see the light was going to be there, and then it just picked up the top of these arches, and it was just fiery red for about 2 minutes.
And that's the thing, like, it didn't last long.
No.
It was very fleeting, and it was all over.
Yeah.
But there was also something cool about then piling back into the car and descending back out of Arches at dusk, you know, and seeing sort of nightfall over the valley as well. Couple of things if you do come through this area. National parks passes are essential. You cannot get in without one.
That's right. And I learned something today on this trip as well, that some of them you need a reservation to get in there as well for a certain period of time. So keep an eye on that when you're coming over. If depending what time of year you come over, you might need to also reserve a spot, which is like a little pocket of time you can go.
Yeah, it's like a window. So
Yeah.
and that was at Arches. We had to do that.
Arches,
where you have to actually book your time to enter the park. And once you're in. That's fine, but you have to actually book a time, an hour block. So like between 10 and 11, for example, that you know you're going to be in there. Sunrise and sunset, you don't have to, do you? They sort of close at about 4 o'clock.
It was from 7 o'clock in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. It's a bit like Cradle Mountain at home, actually. When the buses shut down the road, it's between 8 and 5, and then anyone can go in and out. So but Arches is incredible. Then we came back. We had a beautiful couple of dinners at the Moab Brewery. That was really cool.
Shout out to those guys.
Yeah,
they were phenomenal. Yeah.
Now we need to do a shout out to a couple of people, don't we?
Yeah, we've got shout outs for a lot of people. Not really.
I remember there was a young couple that were doing the climbing in Arches. They didn't end up doing it.
They'll know who they are.
That was I had Emma and Caleb, who were from Idaho, and he was from somewhere up further north. They were actually going rock climbing, but they never did because the sandstone gets compromised in the weather, so they didn't do it.
I'd like to give a quick shout out to, I believe his name was Kevin, who was our chopper pilot.
Yes, that's right. You did chopper ride.
Yeah, that's right. We did a helicopter ride over Zion, which was the day after the last pod went up. So we haven't mentioned that yet. So
we've done a lot, haven't we?
We've crammed in a lot in this. A bit of advice if you're going up in a chopper over these areas. You don't get to choose what seat you're in as a photographer.
Yeah.
If it's a joy flight, if you've chartered a chopper, whatever, if you're rich enough to do that. But if you're just going on a scenic flight, The pilot will allocate the seats based on weights and weight distribution, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I must admit, as brilliant as that ride was, as a photographer, that was tough.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
And we didn't have doors off.
That's right. So that's not normally part of that's not included in our tour. It's always a bit of an option.
It's not included.
It's not included. It's a bit of an option that we give people if they want to do that. And all 6 people went, yeah, well, we'll do that. Well, most of them did.
Yep.
But that, yeah, if it was included in a tour, then it would definitely be something like doors off and limited people so everyone gets a seat. But it was a bit of a last minute thing, and let's put them up on the chopper over Zion. But so that was pretty cool. Yeah. So then we got to Moab. We did all the arches in Canyonlands. We went to sunrise that next morning at the Mesa Arch, which was again, it's another amazing. Canyonlands overlooks Moab and the La Salle Mountains.
Yep.
And the arch lights up underneath at sunrise. Now, I wasn't aware to a point that you didn't necessarily need direct sunlight to get that glow under the arch. It's any sort of light will set that arch off.
That's what blew my mind. We sort of came around the corner and you could see the arch.
Yeah.
And the thing was glowing. It was like they had LED lights under it.
Yeah, we made a joke, didn't we? Like, oh, they need to change the colour temperature.
But the rock was glowing.
Yeah.
And there was no sun. No. The sun hadn't risen yet.
No. And it was a cloudy sort of morning. Like, the sun was out a bit. But, again, more advice if you're coming here is with the national parks. If you think, okay, sunrise is at 6 a.m, I'd like to get there about 6:30, get there at 6.
Yeah.
Just give that extra half hour. Like, we got there was about a dozen people there, and everyone was great. Everyone worked together. We all got our shots, and there was no issues there at all. But just by yourself. It's not like Australia where national parks are busy. It's like America where national parks are flat out.
Yeah.
So if you're going to some of these bucket list places, you want to give yourself that extra time to get your spot.
Most definitely, yeah. I think for me, that location, I don't know what it was. I mean, it was cold, for one.
It was chilly. It was about 0.
The vibe there was amazing. So there was a lot of like-minded people, a lot of photographers there who wanted to just chill. And I mean, there was a guy there who had an ultra-wide-angle Canon set up. I reckon he would have got there like at 5 a.m. or something. He'd been there a while.
He was right at the front. He had like an 8mm on.
Yep.
But it was really good. Like, you go to some places and everyone's sort of fighting for a spot and being a bit arrogant, but everyone was just in a good mood that morning.
Yeah, and it was funny because we got there and there was like half a dozen other Australians there as well.
That's right.
So,
It felt like we were travelling around in our own backyard.
Yeah, that's right.
So that was really cool. Then we went back and then we had a late checkout. Then we had a fairly big drive yesterday.
Yeah.
We came down from Utah here into Page, past some amazing spots. We went past the Blue Mountains, which were called the Avaho Mountains, I think they were, which was near Monticello.
Yep.
Monticello. And then we came past that beautiful blue lake. There was like almost a glacial lake with just deciduous trees all around it. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and big snow-capped mountains behind.
Yeah. And then we got into the Monument Valley and the Valley of the Gods.
Well, Valley of the Gods first.
Yeah. Valley of the Gods, Forrest Gump, and then
it was a big day yesterday.
Did anyone run up Forrest Gump Drive?
Someone might have done the Forrest Gump run.
They did it very well. And then went into Monument Valley for sunset last night, which, like that afternoon yesterday, was one of the best afternoons of the trip.
I actually think, I kind of feel like the last 24 hours of this trip, I've got my best shots.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not that's because I'm in the rhythm or just because of the locations.
Yeah.
I think definitely Monument Valley and the Valley of the Gods. Now, that one was a surprise to me. Maybe I didn't read the itinerary properly.
Wouldn't be the first person.
Wouldn't be the first time that I hadn't read an itinerary. But we sort of turned off, and so Cam's in one car, I'm in another car, and 5-Star Dan's driving the other one. So, and it's sort of in that order. And I was like, where are we off to here? We ended up to a dirt road, and then we just kept on going. And drove, I want to say, maybe a 30-kilometre loop.
Yeah, it's 17 miles. Whatever
Oh, there you go. So about 30k
30
roughly.
yeah.
And some slightly sketchy parts of the road here or there. And you certainly wouldn't want to go up there when it's wet.
No. They had a bit of rain come through just before we got there. But Dan and I, we scouted about a kilometre last year.
Right.
And we just went, this will do. We won't waste our time. We'll just and I wasn't sure if we were going to go all the way through the loop and just turn back or complete the whole thing. But in the end, we just decided just to mosey on. We had time up our sleeve. Yeah. And that was pretty cool. Yeah, no, it was phenomenal. And getting into that area, and I saw a coyote, which was absolutely nuts. But there was a lot of creeks,
deciduous trees lining them. I mean, it was just everywhere you looked was a photo.
Yeah, it was.
Everywhere you looked.
Yeah, and we had good light in there as well.
We did. Even though it was middle of the day.
Yeah, a bit of deciduous trees in some of the little riverbeds and stuff like that. And then we popped out there, and then we made about a 20-minute little trip around to it's got to be one of the most photographed sections of road in the world, I'd imagine.
The Forest Gump Road.
The Forest Gump Road, which is that big leading line that goes straight into Monument Valley.
Yeah, where Forrest goes on all these runs and he ends up running up that road with a big crowd of people behind him. And it's funny because I've seen that movie 1,000 times, and it's not until you're there when it's different to what I pictured it in my mind's eye. Like it just looked different and felt different. Yeah. But I did absolutely love it there. That was sensational.
Also, which is quite funny, is like, how the hell did they shut that road down to do the movie?
Oh, they must have.
Because there was people everywhere.
Yeah, there was.
It was busy.
It was busy.
So that was very cool doing.
I would imagine they might have done it in winter though, which might have been a little quieter.
Yeah,
we had a fairly sort of busy time of the year here.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So we did the Forest Gump. Brendan did a few run-throughs running like Forest Gump.
Helping out our customers here on the trip.
Customers, that's exactly right.
Helping them get the photos.
So it's not you run up Forest Gump.
Not that I just want a nice souvenir shot of myself running up the Forest Gump Road, but
you've done a few of those little souvenir shots.
I'm making the customers work for me.
I've seen that, and then we went back down the road, back to Monument Valley for a sunset, and to me that was one of the nicest 20 minutes of the trip, I reckon.
Well, the drive in, or
just the actual sunset.
Well,
I actually really liked that sunset.
Yeah, the sunset was great, but I think what I loved about it is we were there for a good hour.
Yeah,
maybe more than that before. And we all just chilled a bit.
Yeah,
there was no sort of like there was about maybe 5 or 6 angles that you could shoot into Monument Valley, and I think that was great. It sort of narrowed people's focus a little bit.
Yeah,
and everyone it was a real chill out session after. I mean, we've been on the go.
We've been on the go, and this is why we're having this little downtime today. Is you notice it, like I notice it, like I've done enough of these trips you can start seeing after about day 4 or day 5, people start getting a bit tired, and they just need a bit of a break. But to credit to this group, they've kept going pretty hard, and even today, like a couple of them said to me, like, so in the downtime, can we still go for a walk? And we're like, yeah, you can go wherever you want to do, and but to keep everything running nice and smooth, it's nice just to have a little bit of downtime. And some of the spots, like yesterday afternoon in the Valley of the Gods, well, we had eons of time there. I knew exactly what time we wanted to be there and when we wanted to get out of there. And I was in no rush to get out of that place. Apart from when we came up behind the RV, stuck, I saw it, stuck in the little ditch there.
That's a bit of worry.
I'm like, well, we've driven 16 miles, and the last mile we can't get past this RV, but we made it.
I reckon that RV was 30 feet long.
It was huge. Should not have been in there.
There's no way it should have been in there.
Yeah, and that's one of the small RVs we've seen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, sunset last night was beautiful. Then we treated our guests to, like, no expense spared on these trips when we come overseas. We treated them.
The meal last night was, look, I mean, you can have your Michelin star restaurants, but we treated them to. There's this place. I don't know if you've heard of it in America.
Yeah. Is it in Australia?
Might be. Yeah. Forgive me if I'm saying it wrong. I think it's I don't know, McDonald's or something.
McDonald's is
something like that.
That's got these funny golden arches out the front.
Yeah, well, we thought because we're in Arches National Park the day before.
That's what we thought. Yeah.
We'd treat them to this amazing. They do these French fries.
Yeah. I'll tell you what though, in the last hour I've been paying for that.
We might have to take a break in a minute. But
yes, we treated them to a Macca's meal only because we sacrificed going somewhere for dinner to get that sunset
at Monument Valley. So.
And I was a little bit nervous all day yesterday. I'm thinking if we just get an absolute flop of a sunset and then I dish up French fries,
Macca's,
it may start to turn into a riot. But a few of them went and had some takeaway Chinese stuff, and the boys pretty much sat there. And apart from Mel, he went with the girls, saying something. So we had Macca's for dinner. And then we got into Page last night. Did you see the temperature on the car last night as we're driving along?
It got zero.
It got down to -4.5 on my car.
Yeah. I think my car temperature gauge runs a bit warmer than yours because we did touch zero.
Have you changed yours to Celsius?
No,
Fahrenheit?
But it did say 32 Fahrenheit, which is 0 degrees Celsius.
Right, so we got about -4.5. That was one of the best drives I've done in the whole trip. It was 2 hours in the dark.
Yeah.
And I had Monica and I had Catherine and Adam, and we just had the music cranking. Monica was headbanging in the front seat.
Beautiful.
She went back to I was going to say the 60s then, back to the 70s maybe, 80s.
Yeah,
90s.
I don't know. No, we had so my car runs on the best sound in the world, which is the sound of silence, and I think my punters appreciate that we don't do any music. We have a bit of a chit chat.
Yeah.
Last night I rolled out a few jokes. So that was more just to keep myself awake while we were driving. But yeah, no, it was fun. But look, Cam, let's just cut to the chase.
Yeah.
This morning we went to Antelope Canyon.
Yeah, you tick that bucket.
I don't think I was quite prepared. To be honest, I hadn't sort of really given it much thought that how much of a big ticket item Antelope really is.
Yeah.
Our guide Scott, who was just sensational. The bus we went in was a lot of fun. There was.
Define fun.
I was in the front seat. They were all crammed in the back, so it was fun. But Antelope Canyon folks, seriously, I know a lot of people who watch this show are photographers, so put it very, very high on your bucket list, guys, because the light within that canyon, I still can't believe what I saw.
It's amazing. I think Scott explained it really well. I don't know if you were up the front of the group with us, but he said Antelope Canyon is a bit like an A, an apex, and the lower Antelope Canyons is like a V.
Okay.
So the light coming through the top of the Antelope Canyon is just tiny. Like we saw how wide it was. It'd be 30 centimetres to a metre amount of light coming through. It is incredible, and definitely put on the list. Book in early. Get to make sure you book online.
Yep.
We went with the Antelope Canyon Tour Group, which there's a couple of them here, but they're the main ones, and they're fantastic. But
great.
Yeah, we went there. We scouted that last year, and it was funny. We weren't actually looking at putting this on the tour. We were just sort of going to do U-turning back around, and then I looked here. I'm like, oh, that Antelope Canyon's only 2 hours away from where we're going. Why are we not going there?
Yeah.
So, and the way they do it, they put the groups through and they space them out. Like I think we had 14 in our group.
Yeah.
We had
which was 11 of us and
11
three
of us,
others.
three other people, and like we had plenty of times at each time. We set the cameras up on people's settings to be able to just sort of shoot.
How long do you reckon we're in the canyon itself, or in the darkness for?
Oh,
45 minutes?
Yeah, maybe.
It was the fastest 45 minutes of my life.
Yeah.
Like you just get lost in time because you're just looking at this incredible light.
Yeah.
Like the light in there was nuts. And in a sec, I'm going to go through the gear that I use to take most of my shots in Antelope, as we have more people checking into the hotel.
Yeah.
But yeah, it exceeded expectations. Really, really could not get enough of that place.
Yeah, it's an amazing place, and you're right. Not only the light, I think I appreciated it the second time I've been through it. The texture that's in there, the texture on the walls, and there's little bits of like tumbleweed, and there's bits of logs from flash floodings and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I like too. It wasn't just all stone.
No,
it was,
no, that's right.
You know, a bit of log had fallen in, as you say, tumbleweed. What about the pile of rocks?
And the little pile of rocks, the like little rubble of rocks. Even the sand path through there is really cool. And there's the good thing. It's a little bit like shooting in the forest that I say to people is shoot like you're a vampire. Stay out of the direct light. If you stay out of the direct light in that canyon and don't have any direct light through the canyon roof, you just get that incredible orange colour the whole way through.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't think anyone in our group walked out of there and went, that was shit. No, I think everyone walked out of there and just went, wow. And people have been posting up shots on our little...
Well, in 45 minutes, I took 175 images.
I had a memory card fail halfway
You
through.
did, yeah.
Yeah, thank God I've got an internal memory on my camera, which...
Thanks, SanDisk.
Yeah, thanks, SanDisk. Not sponsoring the show.
No.
So yeah, Antelope Canyon's amazing. You don't need to be really fit to do it. There's a little bit of a climb out along a walkway,
which was nothing.
But definitely do it. Book it in early. Put it on your bucket list. Like you could almost go back this afternoon and have another go. It's one of those places where, it's not enough time.
Can we?
I'll be back here in a couple of weeks. So it's an amazing spot. So then we pretty much said to people, right, let's have the rest of the day off. We've done some washing.
Yeah, that's right. That was needed.
Yeah, we did some 5-star Dan. I'm pretty sure that washing machine will never wash again.
Probably not. I think it's broken.
Yeah. We have had a lot of fun. We may have gone out and bought some costumes. It is Halloween today.
It is Halloween as we record this, of course. How could I forget to say that off the top? So happy Halloween, everyone. We are in the land that actually celebrates it, so we can...
And they celebrate it.
We're going to a Halloween festival tonight.
We are. And as perfectly organised as I am, we are here in Page at the Hot Air Balloon Regatta is going on this weekend.
Yeah, that was completely planned, right?
Completely planned. We won't be seeing them light up at night because that's when we're leaving after we leave tomorrow. But tonight, yeah, we're going to go have some dinner, and then we're going to go walk around a bit of a market stall and festival.
Yep.
Take our cameras and maybe do a little bit of street photography, night photography,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Well, I thought, Cam, with that in mind, talking of gear, I thought I'd actually show you what I've brought with me. So this is my low pro camera backpack.
Oh, that's lovely.
And in here, I'll try not to drop everything you're going to catch. So this is my setup, starting in the front here where I can keep my passport and cash and stuff like that, charging cables and things like that in here. So as you can see, I'm carrying 5 lenses and 2 bodies. So I've got this is my main shooter, which is the, you guys know, that's my Olympus OM5. Now this is what I shot antelope with. That's the 7-14 f2.8.
Perfect.
I do recommend something pretty bright for in there.
Yeah.
If you can, but the big tip that we would give would be auto ISO in a place like that, because you can't take a tripod in there.
No tripods, no backpacks, no nothing.
So this setup didn't come into the Canyon, just this did. So that was all I took, and I'm so glad that I had that 7-14 available to me. So that was
super wide angle lens, auto ISO, and the brightest lens you can get is always good.
So just briefly, that's my EM1X, and that has my 100-400 lens. That has come in handy so often for tight landscape, for landscapes within landscapes, big zoom landscape. Birds. I've got a couple of shots of condors on that bad boy, so I was happy with that.
Yes, in Zion, yep.
And then this afternoon or this evening, I'm going to be able to put this little guy, which is my ultra thin Panasonic 20mm f1.7 on the OM5. So nice and bright.
Know it's there.
Well, nice and bright, and you know the Olympus can handle, you know, the low light shooting with that f1.7 lens. It should be a lot of fun. So hopefully we get a bit of low light stuff. I've also got my macro lens, which hasn't actually seen the light of day yet. So that might have been a miss springing that one.
That might upset a few viewers.
Okay. Yeah, one in particular. And the other one I've got here is my trusty 12-200.
You've had that on a lot.
12-200 has been really handy, just when we're walking around.
Yeah.
Look, the main thing is that I'm helping other people take photos. So when I get it, so once that they're all set up taking shots, and I get a chance to get my shots going.
Yep.
This is the kit I grabbed. I've also got my little Leica film camera in there and some spare film. I've actually only shot about 3 or 4.
We're still not going to get through that roll of film, are we?
In here, no. In here is also what we're recording on now, which is my DJI Pocket 3 as well. And as I say, my low pro backpack, and carrying a tripod as well. I've just got a fairly simple little 3-legged thing tripod that I carry with me, which seems to be doing the job, and haven't actually used that much.
Yeah.
Only for the sunrise stuff, really.
Yeah. I obviously misread the memo about bringing your gear down. I just brought one camera.
It's fine.
Not the whole lot.
It's fine.
I was having a snooze.
Let's have a look at what you've been rocking with for most of the time.
I've had my Leica the whole way. I don't have anything else but this Leica. So this has got a 21mm 1.4 on it, which was great in Antelope Canyon.
It was.
Could be really bright.
1.4.
1.4 21mm. This is all manual focus, so it's a bit tricky. It's a very slow camera, no autofocus. I've had a memory card fail in this, which has been great.
Yeah.
I've also had it shut down a few times.
And you also, we got back to our room after your Bryce Canyon walk, and Cam was a little pale in the face.
I pooed my pants, didn't I? We got back and I'm like, I've lost all my photos. I can't see them anywhere. And you're like, nah, they'll rock up.
They'll be there.
I'm like, they're not there. So if you are traveling overseas with a camera, be sure to maybe reset the time and date of your camera.
Was that what happened?
That's what happened, because my camera was still on Australian time. So when I was importing my photos, it was importing them on Australian time.
Yes.
So, and I'd had something else where I put photos in, and it buried the bunch of photos from Arches like 5 hours previous.
It shuffled it before.
It shuffled them back
instead of putting them at the end, of putting before the
that's
last.
right.
Okay.
So when I sort by date taken, and date taken to this was 5 hours before what time it actually was. So.
Yep.
But also, I've also got a 50mm f2, which I'll probably use tonight. It's a little lens.
Yep, that'll be fun.
And I've had a 90mm f2, which I've used for some of those sort of in-depth
So,
things.
manual focus. And when we were in Antelope, were you shooting much at 1.4?
I
you probably weren't.
No, I kept it at 2.8.
Yeah, cool.
Just because I didn't want it to be so narrow.
That's right. You would misfocus.
Yeah, so I kept it
easy to do in the dark.
Yeah. The one thing about this camera, which is very impressive, is the ISO noise.
Yep.
I can shoot this at 6400 and it's very, very good.
Yeah.
So I kept it on auto ISO, confident that I could probably go a bit higher than most. But yeah, it's been good. Like I said, it's had it has this little twerk that the M11s have. This is an M11. And every now and then it just stops, and you got to take the battery out and put it back in, which is crap for such an expensive camera.
Yeah.
And then the memory card had a bit of a oopsie today.
Yeah.
But it's been good. I'm happy with the shots I'm getting. Again, we're sort of helping people and snapping in between, which is what we sort of do.
Yeah.
But it's been good. I've enjoyed it.
I must say that was one good thing about Antelope was we sort of, you mostly worded everyone up well before we got in there.
Yeah.
These are the settings.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And because we got sort of spaced out a bit as well, there's no way we could have stopped and given a lecture on what you need to the settings now. That was just wasn't going to happen.
No, you're on their time zone. But really, like, it's pretty straightforward. It's auto ISO, 2.8 or something like that. Autofocus on the middle and just point and shoot.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's more about positioning, which is what Scott did really well today. He was
Scott was great. Scott, I get the feeling he's a bit of an amateur photographer himself.
Yeah, he gave us some really good tips. He said, look, just try and stay out of that direct light, because you're going to get those highlights blowing. He almost spoke the language, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
So that was great. But I've been really happy with that. Apart from those little twerks, it's been good just to have something, when you're sort of walking around helping someone. I'm not a big fan of having a big backpack on. No. Or a tripod. So this has just been in my hand on my wrist strap. I did find a bit of an issue the other day in Arches at the double arch. You can climb up to a little bit of an overlook, and up went Adam, like whatever he did, and then Tim went up like a bloody gazelle. And then I'm like, I'll get up there. And on the way up, they all had their neck straps on, and they turned their cameras around to their back. Of course. And I'm like, cool. And I went to I'm like, well, I've got two. I had to sort of climb up, but I've got my camera in one hand on my wrist. So
not just any camera.
Not just any camera. So, and on the way down, I had to give this camera to a complete strange guy who was giving people footing advice. I said, dude, can you hold this? And he goes, yeah, cool, no worries. I'm like, it's not a throwaway. Yeah. But I've been happy. Like the quality I'm getting out of it, I'm getting some good shots. Yeah. The autofocus is tricky. Yeah. Without having it.
That's right. The lack of it.
The lack of it. But apart from that, it's been really good.
Well, the photos I've seen so far and the few that you've been posting through your Instagram page have been absolutely superb. So there's no worries there. Just wanted to briefly talk. We won't be much longer on this podcast. We'll wrap it up pretty soon. We've got a dinner to get to.
What time is it?
I have no idea. My phone's buzzing, so hopefully
we've got plenty of time.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Just briefly, a little bit talk about etiquette, particularly in the national parks. If you're anywhere in the world, really, if you're in an area where it's quite busy, we've noticed a few photographers. I must say, a couple of in our group that just got a little bit absent-minded at times.
Controversy.
And might have just sort of wandered into someone else's photo. Yeah. And I get it. I mean, you're just awestruck by what you're seeing, and you just want, right, I'm taking this photo. Yeah. You get the blinkers on.
You get tunnel vision.
You do, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, just being aware of that, but also being patient, because, there's people here on holidays, they've travelled just as far as you have, sometimes further. Yeah. Paid just as much as you have to get there. Yeah. They've got every right to, walk straight through your shot. That's happened to me half a dozen times. Yeah. Where I've got a shot lined up and I'm clearly there taking the shot and someone just walks straight through. Don't get frustrated, don't get angry, just wait.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Is this is a holiday for people, and we're working, but it's a holiday. Yeah. But it is about just being a bit more patient and having a bit more etiquette. Yeah. And hello, Monica. A bit more patient and just being aware of your surroundings. Even just like when you set your tripods up, just having different tripods, not overlapping or anything like that. Yeah. Which is important. Yeah. But we've had a few instances where people have walked through our shots and we've walked through our own shots and stuff like that.
Well, that's right, and that's the other thing with a group of 11, and we do overlap each other. Yeah. Also, not quite being aware of how wide people might be shooting as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And you might just wander into someone's shot on the side. So that can be a little bit frustrating at times. But as I say, just make sure you're aware of it.
And how annoying has Monica been on this trip? She's been absolutely.
Monica's been absolutely probably the
so
worst.
Annoying. She's probably the worst customer.
Probably the worst customer we've ever seen. She's standing right there listening to all of this. So.
Just take your time in national parks.
Should we bring her on?
No, we better not bring her on.
We won't bring her on. Oh, no, she's shaking her head. No.
But like these national parks are incredible. And it is easy to get distracted when you walk in and you're like, oh my God, look at this view. And before you know it, you're standing in front of someone's spot just awing at while they're trying to take this photo. So watch your surroundings, have a look. It's like when you're looking for compositions, look around. Of course. You'll see someone else in your shot. And if someone walks in your shot, don't carry on about it. Yeah. Just, most people will either be self-aware and come to their senses. Yeah. Or they'll be gone in a couple of minutes anyway. So,
yeah, that's right. Yeah. But look, on the whole, this has been absolutely sensational, and we will sort of wrap up my involvement with this tour on the next podcast, and we'll probably be I'll be zooming from Victoria, and you'll be somewhere, Vegas somewhere. I don't know, who knows?
I'll be in Vegas watching the election.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we will actually be. Well, I'm leaving on US Election Day,
Right.
so
Maybe.
that's right. If the airport isn't on fire, but we'll just see what happens.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. But just a couple of little housekeeping things as well. Probably next week we'll put up our next photo comp.
Yep.
We're in November now, so we'll put up a comp for November.
Yep.
Also, just a quick shout out for the lads at BFOP, because tickets went on sale a week ago for BFOP 2025. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
60% sold out already. So that's wow.
Are you coming back?
I've been invited back, so I guess that means I'm coming back.
Right. Okay. Well, that's why there's 60% sold.
Sure. Of course. It goes without saying. It wouldn't have nothing to do with you or Tom Part.
No, nothing. Who?
True.
Who apparently has got a 50% off gallery. I think he's going out of business gallery sale.
Has he?
50% off everything.
50% off everything. Fire sale.
Fire sale. I think it is. I don't know.
Get into Tom Part Gallery on the Mornington Peninsula.
They're still $6,000 each, but yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's
all.
what else do we need to talk about? I think that's pretty much it for this podcast.
Yeah, I think it is. We'll do a new comp next month or next podcast.
Thank you to the 935 of you that have subscribed to the channel so far. We're going to get to 1,000 before I leave this country. I'm telling you right now. He's very adamant of this.
So. We are. What about the other morning at Messer Arch? There was 20 people there, and we was like, "Have you heard? We've been spruiking. Mel's been wearing the hoodie the whole way around."
Look, beer donations. If you've bought us a beer this week, and you can do that at dsps.com.au, thank you. We will give you a shout out next week once I'm back.
No one's bought a beer.
No one's bought us a beer.
No.
What are we going to do tonight?
Mel's here. He's the other person,
yeah, that's right.
The other person buying us a beer is with us.
Jenny Cooper.
Yeah, where are you, Jenny? Where's
Jenny?
the beer?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I mean, what are we like? Chopped liver?
Yeah. Lift your game.
We're thirsty, Jen. Come on.
Here we are. No, it's been so far. This trip's been great. It's been awesome having you along, and
thank you.
And it's been a lot of fun just exploring this amazing country.
Yeah.
We get to do it all again, Dan and I. Maybe we're knackered, but we're going to.
No, you'll have your little downtime.
We'll have a little downtime in Vegas. Yep. As if that's ever been said.
Well, your brother's turning up, isn't he?
So my brother's he's on his way to Vegas today.
I want to see a photo of your brother on a roller coaster. Would we get him on one?
Oh, I doubt it. I doubt it very much that you get him on a roller coaster. But yeah, it's been a great trip so far. We've got the Grand Canyon to go.
Yes, of course.
And we've got Hoover Dam on the way back to Vegas. Then we wrap up in Vegas.
Yeah.
And then we'll go again.
Not to mention tomorrow morning sunrise.
Tomorrow morning sunrise, which will be at Horseshoe Bend, which is a big bend overlooking the Colorado, which is actually quite impressive.
Cannot wait.
I
reckon this 7 to 14 might come in.
Yeah, it's perfect. It is. And you know what? Watch tomorrow. We'll talk about this maybe next week. Watch the amount of dickheads that jump the fence and stand on the edge of this 300-metre cliff that goes into the river.
For the gram.
For the gram. Last time we were there, Daniel and I just stopped watching the view, and we're just like, we're going to see someone die here. Someone's going to fall off. We're going to see it. We're going to be here. It's going to be on the news. We're going to give an interview.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Particularly not to one of our crew who would not do such a thing.
Jumping the fences on here things.
No, not if they know what's
good. But no, it's been awesome so far. A couple of days to go. You'll be back in Melbourne. Or Ocean Grove
when this comes out next.
Yep.
So this has been episode 142 of the Down South Photo Show. We will see you for episode 143 in a week or so. Bye for now.
Ciao.
Or shall we say so long?
Y'all. Hey, we should put that video up in the back of the card. Though.
No, we shouldn't do that.
No, we should? Okay. No.